So I did want to ask you something related to LeBron, and it's Luca related too. I know there's been some reporting from you and others about some potential trade requests from other teams, kind of doing their due diligence, I'm sure. And of course, LeBron has opted in. Luca just signed his extension. Luca's getting the whole treatment now, men's health cover, and it's the off season of Luca getting in shape. We're gonna get slim, fit Luca next season, and all that discourse. And I find it fascinating seeing how the Lakers are going all in on their transition into Luca while LeBron is still there. Of course, he's 40 going on 41. He only has so much time left, but he's still LeBron. But they finally have someone who is better than him, bigger name, younger. Like they have a new superstar to really kind of focus their attention around and make the face of the franchise going forward. But it's like LeBron is still LeBron. What's your feeling about how LeBron might be treating this next season with a Luka who is getting all of the Laker attention, and I mean, on the court, I think that'll be even more so with him having the ball in his hands even more. I mean, do you think that that could possibly play a role in LeBron's thinking about whether or not, because there's some theories about before the trade deadline next season, there still could be a trade, and LeBron looks to, go back to Cleveland, that narrative, or make a move elsewhere. I mean, do you think that the Luca part of it could play a role in any of that?
If you go back to 2018, 2019, when LeBron was getting ready to arrive in Cleveland, and this goes all the way back to our relationship with Basketball Society when LeBron left Cleveland, went to Los Angeles, and he was looking to kind of build around a team that would be passing. He would, as the star, would eventually be passing the baton to. And at one point, there was a thought process that that would be Kevin Durant, and at one thought process, they thought it would be Kawhi Leonard. And then what ended up happening was Anthony Davis came, and it was a 1-2 punch, but it was still LeBron's team. Fast forward to 2025, we've the Lakers have won a bubble championship. The Lakers have had some first round exits in the playoffs. They've still been, since 2018, 2019, one championship above the Clippers, who had similar aspirations. Now you're in a situation where the belief and the thought process from 2018 is seemingly coming to fruition with Luka Doncic becoming the face, but LeBron still being LeBron James, as you mentioned. There were a couple things to kind of examine. One, yes, LeBron did opt into the $52.9 million deal, but LeBron and Rich Paul, his agent, definitely made a lot of moves in partnership. One, getting Anthony Davis. Two, winning a bubble championship that people laugh at. And three, and I think they shouldn't, because I think in the record books later on in life, it won't matter. We look at George Washington as president. We look at Abraham Lincoln as president, just like we look at the Bulls winning the 93 championship, winning the 98 championship, and the Rockets winning in 94, 95, and the Spurs winning in 99. And 99 was the lockout short season. However, I think when you're looking at the Los Angeles Lakers and you're looking at Luka and you're looking at LeBron, there's seemingly a belief that they can build around Luka for the future. They've definitely put a roster together with DeAndre Ayton and adding Marcus Smart and LeBron. The question remains, is that a team that can compete with the Oklahoma City Thunder? I don't see
Right,
LeBron going to the Thunder.
right.
Does that mean that, the Rockets are, looking for LeBron? They don't have the cap space. And so then that leads to conversations that were being had over the summer where Rich Paul, his agent, and LeBron have had some sort of conversations with Rob Pelinka, Jeannie Buss, and what have you, just about their future and what's going on. It's interesting because when LeBron first came to the Los Angeles Lakers, the Lakers were seemingly signing anybody that came from Clutch. Now, when you're looking at Luka Doncic, they're signing anybody that's with the WME, which is
Hmm.
Bill Duffy, his agent, and all those other people. DeAndre Ayton comes from WME as well.
Hmm.
And so you're in a situation now where, yeah, the Lakers are taking input from Luca. LeBron still has a year left on his contract. And we're looking at this season as, is this his last? Does he have a couple more years left? He seemingly got Bronny a longer term deal than most people who were picked at the number 55 pick in the draft. And there are other teams that are inquiring, as I've reported back in July. The Cavaliers, the Dallas Mavericks, the Golden State Warriors, as well as the Los Angeles Clippers are four teams who have, reached out to Rich Paul. I don't see the Clippers being a player at this point, particularly because they added Bradley Beal, and they've seemingly sewed up their lineup with Chris Paul and Brook Lopez and more. But I do think that Dallas, as I've been reporting for the last couple of years, has taken a keen eye to what could be. There are a lot of relationships that are there. Phil Handy being an assistant coach with the Dallas Mavericks and was on that Lakers bubble team as an assistant, as well as the Cavaliers when LeBron was there. And then you also have Jason Kidd, who was on that staff. You have Kyrie Irving, who is, a former teammate of LeBron's, and I've reported ad nauseum. You can check it out at scoopy.com. A conversation that I was briefed on that LeBron and Kyrie had back in 2023, where Kyrie was trying to convince LeBron to come or find his way somehow to the Dallas Mavericks. And, LeBron ended that call and speaking with Kyrie without think about it. And it's been 2 years, and maybe he's still thinking about it. And from people that I've spoken to who are in the know, they've shared with me that, Kyrie can come to Los Angeles. And, that was never happening. And then now you're looking at, does LeBron come to Dallas? I know that Kyrie has been very instrumental in recruiting people to come to the Mavericks. Was part of the reason why Klay Thompson came to Dallas, their connection to the Anta sneaker brand and playing on the Olympics and more. So there's a lot of connections there in Dallas and LeBron. And then, of course, you look at Cleveland. Um, it would be a great storybook ending. You've seen it more recently with Damian Lillard finding his way back to Portland. You've seen it with Chris Paul finding his way to the Clippers. But you've even seen it with Allen Iverson having a second stint with the Philadelphia 76ers some years ago. Usually the greats find a way to come back home. Scottie Pippen did it briefly. So I think this is something that is going to play out slowly. I think Dallas has the pieces to make a move. It would have to be any iteration of Daniel Gafford, Klay Thompson, potentially coming to. I floated. It's over at my blog at Scooby.com, but it was something that someone in the know floated to me as a way that you could find a way to bring LeBron to Dallas, but you'd mess up that chemistry. I think, particularly because Dallas is seemingly trying to build something. Um, I also wonder how that would work with LeBron and D'Angelo Russell in Dallas together, having been teammates in Los Angeles already. So, in answer to your question, for the most part, it seems as though this Lakers roster as is could be the team that starts at the beginning of the season. LeBron has not formally requested any sort of trade, just like Giannis Antetokounmpo at the time of this recording has not formally requested a trade. But conversations do happen. People say things, and as a reporter, you report what you hear, and you try to, find that semblance of objectivity in all of those things. That's what I know.
Yeah, and I bring up the Luca thing because I wonder if going into if at some point through the season if the Lakers are underperforming, if they're good but it's a legit thing of like, hey, we know we're not on OKC's level. We probably can't really beat Denver. And a lot of that really falls on the shoulders and the fitness level of Luca. It really is all, with him being the centerpiece, a lot of it comes down to how he's performing. Seems like he's coming into next season looking to be, the best
Sure.
version of himself. So it's fair to assume that, they'll be good, maybe as good as they were this past season, maybe better. It's on Luca and LeBron, of course. Uh, I just, and of course, I have no real feeling or connection to knowing like what LeBron is thinking or what he might be wanting to do. I think I feel like just from afar, what feels like the most realistic scenario would be the the final stint in Cleveland. That feels like that would be the storyline that would be the most realistic in terms of what LeBron might actually do. I haven't put past him like what he's capable of or what might be in his mind frame of doing, but it feels like for the end, and of course with a chance to still compete in the end. I think it's most interesting to think about where Cleveland would be coming from because it's like they're close. It almost feels like they could use LeBron to get over this hump that they're trying to get over. So I wonder if they would think
Yeah.
of it as more of a distraction or like a real opportunity to win a championship.
So I go back to 2018 when I was writing at Basketball Society, and I penned this op-ed that included information about LeBron ultimately leaving Cleveland and going back to Los Angeles. This was in 2018, and you know that Jay-Z is my favorite rapper,
Hmm.
and I used a line in there when I said LeBron leaving Cleveland and going to Los Angeles was the epitome of Jay-Z's line in Song Cry, and I'm paraphrasing when he says, "I was just hollering at these girls. I'm gonna get right back." And he did that when he left the first time in 2010 to go to Miami. Um, he did it again in 2014 when he left Miami to come back to Cleveland, and then he left Cleveland and went to Los Angeles. And I think it would be a great storybook ending. I think LeBron is not that hard to figure out. I think Miami was probably the most different thing
Hmm.
that he ever did, just because I think people had a gauge on um, Los Angeles,
Hmm.
and more so on the business side of it because of Space Jam,
Hmm.
um, because of the tax credits and the business credits of bringing LeBron Inc. to Los Angeles. At the time it just made sense. I feel like Miami for him was like him going away to college finally, or him going to grad school. He's from Akron, he's from Northeast Ohio. He stayed in Cleveland and he stayed home and went to school, so to speak, and then went to Miami for grad school and kind of grew and uh, did what he needed to do. And I think coming back home to Cleveland at that time made sense because when you left Cleveland, you basically traded. You was a sign and trade, and you traded draft picks, and they ended up getting Tristan Thompson and Kyrie Irving out of the deal. And then he came back, and that team was ready to compete for a championship. In 2016, they won it. I think he owes nothing to Cleveland, but I think the storybook ending would be great for the economy, would be great for his career. I think that even the notion of he's had the dream of playing with his sons. The Lakers, the draft, they went through that process, and then with Bryce, you wonder where he ends up as far as if he's one and done, if he stays 2 years, however which way, and then he finds his way to Cleveland. I think that would be cool. Nothing I've heard, just if you're going to take LeBron at his word and his dream to play with his sons. I think people laughed when he did it the first time. If he did it the first time, you think he's going to do it the second time? So I think things like that in LeBron's career, you take him as face value. Like even taking shorter term deals early in his career so that he timed his career the way he wanted it to be timed to do what he needed to do. And I think if he's in his last year of this deal, one or two things happen. One, like you mentioned, say the Lakers don't do well at the beginning of the season. That's an expiring contract. The Lakers may want to get something for it. You look
Right.
at that, right?
Right.
I know that LeBron's first year with the Lakers, um, he went down with an injury. And I remember I reported about his groin and all of that stuff going on. Prior to that, I know that excuse me, not Dallas, I know that Denver and the Lakers were having a conversation about LeBron. And I know that there was a conversation with Denver, if I'm not mistaken, for Michael Porter Jr. So I think, the Lakers are not afraid to have those conversations with teams. It just depends on where the Lakers end up. And it depends on what LeBron's plans are after. He could say after this season, this is it.
Yeah.
But I do know that Cleveland would be the storybook ending. I also think Dallas would be an interesting ending, mainly because I know that Jason Kidd and LeBron always wanted to be teammates.
Mm,
And the consolation prize was Jason Kidd being an assistant coach on that team that won the championship.
hmm.
I know that
They played
Jason Kidd
so
almost
well together on Team USA. So well.
they
I
did
loved
on
watching them
everything
run up and
too.
down together. Yeah.
And I know that this was back when I was with you at Basketball Society. Jason Kidd, as well as Mark Jackson, were on LeBron James's wish list of head coaches
Mm,
to replace Luke Walton.
mm,
And the reason why Jason Kidd did not become the head coach of that team was because of optics, because of things that had happened previously in his career with his ex-wife. And that is why they named Frank Vogel the head coach. And then Frank Vogel, as well as the Lakers Brain Trust, did, in fact, hire him as an assistant. He impressed Rob Pelinka. Jeannie Buss was impressed, but I'm told that it was the optics of just things that had gone on in the past, which became a thing when he was hired by the Mavs as well.
mm,
There were things that, without throwing anybody out there, there were just things that were discussed with the Mavs prior to the ultimate hiring, and it took Rick Carlisle naming him as a person he thinks that the Mavs should name as the head coach, and he became the head coach, but. I know that just that connection to Dallas is something to watch just for those
mhm.
relationships and those reasons. But to me, Cleveland and Dallas do stand out if he'd like to, end his or prolong his career even longer.
And what you said is exactly, my point about if the Lakers do struggle or if they're underachieving,
Hmm.
would it be best for both parties? Could LeBron pose to them to say, "Hey, let's look at some trades that might help me. Like I'd love to go back home. Dallas could be maybe, let's see what a couple teams might be able to offer you. You guys have Luca. Like that's where you're going. If it's not working out that way, and I mean I think they'd have to come out like really good. I'm not saying if they're not really good, he should or will automatically be asking for a trade. I just wonder with so much attention on Luca, with that team really being Luca's now. I certainly feel like Luca and LeBron, especially a more fit and maybe Luca getting back to a little more of his athletic self, like his rookie year. That version of Luca, even with this version of LeBron, I want to see that. I think I mean, they did damage together just on the fly, figuring it out this past season. With
Them and who else?
well, that does still become the question because it's
That
like
that
you're still
mhm.
relying a lot on Luca. The roster still, I think I think it's a little bit better. I like Marcus Smart. I think he can reinvigorate himself with the Lakers in that kind of setting and that kind of role. I think
Mhm.
DeAndre Ayton can likely do the same. But I mean, there's still holes in that roster. I mean, that you're not looking at it automatically as like that's a championship roster right now. So that is why I question that.